I think it's also framed in like mental health or, oh, I have an emotional issue. It's really hard to see a correlation between this and my hormones, my energy levels, because we're just taught, think positively, push through to know. And I believe this now all the time. This is literally all the work I do with my clients now. It's just like, no, it's always me.
Welcome back to a repeat guest. We have Cara Barone, who you guys heard before on nervous system. So we are going to be talking more about nervous system, but we're going to be diving also into a few different things. But we were talking about something before we hopped on this, and I want you to expand on it. And you were basically saying that you truly think that 90% of people's health issues are related to their nervous system, like whether they have Lyme, mold, all the things, which I feel like you speak from a good place because you actually have had Lyme and mold. So like very serious, like chronic things.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Tell me why 90%. That's a strong claim.
It's a strong claim. And I guess so everyone knows where I'm coming from. So I had, as Leah mentioned, mold, stress, probably some breast implant illness, like, real severe chronic fatigue. What else did I have? What else have you helped me with? Like all my gut issues, hormones. I didn't have a period for 3.5, 4 years at one point. Like, so if you guys can relate to me, I've had it all. I've had it all. And my, honestly, like 8-year journey I wouldn't have said though, I was like, really like anything was wrong. That's the crazy part. And I wouldn't have said I was stressed.
You definitely wouldn't have said you're stressed. You definitely would say you were tired. You were exhausted.
I was super exhausted. Like I knew something was off for sure, but I wouldn't have said I was stressed. And so if you can relate to any of that, I was just a super, super like high achiever, right? I had a full-time job. I was traveling the world. I lived in London. I lived in Australia. I had my own business, like a highly stressful, profitable business. So I was doing all the things. And once I hit this real deep crash and burn, and mind you, everyone, like I went to all the doctors, like what's going on? Like what's going on me? I did gut doctors. I did kinesiologists. I did supplements galore. I did 4 or 5 naturopaths, like before working with Leah, like everything possible. And then someone said to me, maybe it was you, I don't know, someone said, you really have to work on, you'll never heal if you have stress in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so probably about after like literally 7 years of me thinking I know what's wrong with me, right? Being very gung-ho in that, mm-hmm. I was like, okay, I'm going to take that so seriously because I went from super stressed, high functioning, all the things, all the anxiety, all the internal pressure all the time, to like, I can't function in the mornings. Like I can barely get out of bed. I could barely run my business at this point because I was so tired. And I can walk you through like nervous system wise, like what was going on is you go from a fight or flight response. And most women can probably do this till you're 30 and you start seeing symptoms. So if you are a high performer and you relate to any of these things, you can do it till 25, 30 years old. And then health symptoms start to pop up. So that's the fight or flight response. And then eventually you got nothing left anymore. So that window of tolerance. So like if we're talking your physiological response, you guys may have heard like your window of tolerance, which is just your ability physiologically to handle stress, to bounce back from stress. So when you have this window, when you're younger in your 20s, you have this big window, right? You just bounce back from anything. You can be out, you can be doing whatever. And then as you get older, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. As more stress happens, as more emotional traumas happen or other traumas, work, whatever, and that ability to bounce back, that window of tolerance gets a lot smaller. So that was what was happening to me. And then eventually I went from the fight or flight response, probably as my baseline state all the time, to a shutdown response. So you may have heard people call this as living in a freeze response, a shutdown response, where everything then became like, I don't care, slower. I would have called myself lazy, but I was so fatigued and just so exhausted. Okay. So coming full circle to the question you asked me at the beginning, I believe all of my health issues were, of course, very, very real. Like you pulled up tests, right? You saw the amount of mold I had. You saw the Lyme. Like you could see my hormones. The tests were very, very real, but they were all just cherry on top, the straw that broke the camel's back to some of these, the way that I was living inside my own internal dialogue, right? My own internal self-talk, my own internal anxiety and high pressure and continuously working and making money and living from that state. Had I regulated my emotions, had I learned how to navigate all of that when I was way younger, I do not believe, fact, right? I do not believe that mold and Lyme and everything else would have impacted me to the extent that it did.
Well, also, something I think is interesting to just look at our society as a whole is like, why is mold illness becoming so much more prevalent? Why is Lyme becoming so much more prevalent? Why is fatigue and chronic illness and type 2 diabetes and all of these things that also have a very, very, very big stress component? I mean, there's a very, I don't want to like give their identity, so we'll just call him a very good friend of mine who has breast cancer. And this is a breast cancer that came back, and she is doing a different treatment this time. And she went to something out of the country, actually, that was like very holistic, whole-minded when it comes. And I kid you not, she's like, why are they doing psychology and like stress and all of these things? Because that has such a big component to disease. And it's like, yes, our toxins are growing. Yes, our society as a whole is just sicker, more toxic. We're exposed to so many more things. But like, when have we ever been in a society where it's like everybody's life is in your face? Everybody's opinions of you are in your face all over social media. Like you can see all of these different accounts within seconds, just scroll, scroll, scroll. And we don't take that into an account. You know, like you went from fight or flight to freeze, but in that entire time, I don't think you ever were like, yeah, I'm stressed.
No, because it was, okay, so for context, like I've worked at a huge tech company for 10, 11 years, always corporate. But before that, I was programmed. So I grew up in America. I've been abroad now for 8.5 years, but you're programmed the American dream, right? If you work hard enough, you will make it. And so you're put into sports where you are, like, at least me, I was super competitive, had to win, right? Had to get all A's. That was also an emotional tie between my dad and I. He expected I was going to do that and get those kind of A's. So I wanted to please him. Society gives you a pat on the back for that. That's how you get rewarded. That's how you get promoted. So people don't think this is uncommon, and it's not anymore. But when you are creating a business, a life, a family from that level of survival mode, because it is an operating system, right? It's a belief system from I'm not good enough. I have to do more. I have to keep going. It's so ingrained before the ages of 7 years old by witnessing your parents, by witnessing society, by what you learn in school. So when I talk about a belief system, the way I refer to it, because like, if you guys don't know, I do this now for life and business coaching. I work with my clients on this. Their belief systems are so ingrained around money from what they saw. A belief is just two components: how your body remembers it, right? That emotional response, whether that's anxiety, apathy, whatever it is. So there's an emotional response to your beliefs, and has memories attached to it.
Yeah.
So when you have these two components that make up your belief systems, they are so real to you. Like, it doesn't matter what other people say when it's looping in your brain, and your brain is then going over it a million times over. This is how I have to act. This is how I have to think. This is how I have to respond to be loved and accepted and a good member of society. Until you change those belief systems, which again, when I say in your nervous system, in your physiological response, and in your mind, so it's the two components, your mind and your body. Until you change those, you will continue operating from some level of survival mode. You will never heal. The biggest thing like Leah's helped me with now is all the effects of my 30 something years of acting that way. But I do not believe I would have needed any of this stuff had I been able to change my belief system when I was way younger.
Yeah. So I want to actually sort of prove this point. So we have a very young client in our program right now, and she just turned 21. So she's one of our youngest. Like, our youngest has been 18, just legal. And she came to us having panic, anxiety attacks, daily migraines, painful periods, like all of these things. But something that she didn't really touch on or acknowledge till later on is wanting to lose weight. And turns out, like, she had been on diets, like been put on them since she was 12 years old. And like everyone around her, like, never had a weight issue, was very like easily maintained. And she just felt like she struggled with it all the time. And we had a lot of emotional work not to do on any of the other things. We didn't touch anxiety. We didn't touch panic, like daily panic attacks. We touched on her worthiness to be herself without a connection to weight. And that was so big for her because she was literally like, I will show up as me when I weigh the right weight, the way I think that I should be. And when we finally were able to flip that switch for her, she actually lost 14 pounds in like literally 12 weeks. Like, it was just like the weight falls off. She's like not having daily anxiety and panic attacks, not having her daily migraines. And she fought that really hard. She was like, no, like, I'm not going to do the mindset. I'm not going to like think about how this is important to me. Like, just tell me the supplement, tell me the protocol, tell me the food, because that's so hard to admit.
Totally. It's so hard to say, oh, and I think it's also framed in like mental health or, oh, I have an emotional issue. It's really hard to see a correlation between this and my hormones, my energy levels, because we're just taught like, think positively, push through, like, to know. And I believe this now all the time. Like, this is literally all the work I do with my clients now. It's just like, no, it's always me for the most part. Now, of course, like now, like, hear me when I say, because I'm not gaslighting anyone. Like, I literally had test results to say how wild things were in my body. Yeah. But what caused the wildness was, all like I had a ton of things, same as this woman, right? Around having the perfect body, getting perfect grades. There's so much perfectionism. We don't understand how much this wreaks havoc on our hormones later down the line. And then Leah gets to fix all of them and be like, just try to take a supplement. Guys, I showed Leah pictures. I have 3 cabinets of supplements. None of that crap worked. None of it worked until I addressed what was creating all my emotional feels, like all the other things. And usually it's your drive. So if you're listening to this and like, you might not think you're stressed, but like, how fast are your thoughts? And so like, okay, I'll break down a little bit. Like, if you're in fight or flight, your thoughts are going really fast. You talk really fast and you are always overthinking. You're second guessing everything. You're probably a really high self-doubt and people pleasing. Like, I got to do more. I got to be more. I got to be all over the place. And those are just some things when you're in fight or flight.
Yeah, there's some really weird habits that I've pointed out to people because they're like, I'm not stressed. I'm not in fight or flight. I'm like, okay, are you okay making dinner without like a podcast, without music, without talking to somebody? Do you watch a video and also be on Instagram at the same time? Do you read a book or 3 books or 4 books or 5 books at the same time, but also have like your phone that you have to stop in between chapters? Like, when someone messages you, do you then like go through the rest of your apps and like clear all the notifications out at one time? And they're like, yeah, someone does one of those things. And I'm like, yeah, that's fight or flight. You're literally living on those adrenaline hormones and that higher cortisol until it is going to tank underneath you.
Totally. Yeah. The way I started learning, so as I started teaching like nervous system work and all of that, I can see the ocean right here from like, I live in currently as we're filming this, Bondi Beach. So I can see the ocean, and I would go down to the ocean because I would do my walks every day. And one of the things that we were taught is actually just like sitting in presence and holding it for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And for the first few months, I had like, it was like my phone was pulling me. Like I had to reach for it. I had to reach for it. Or I would always be thinking, I got to do something else. Like, I had to learn how to sit and look at the waves and just watch the waves and sit there. And what most women struggle with, and it creates so much sabotage patterns, and it's not just in your health, it's going to create it in your relationship. It's going to create it with your money, in your business, in your career. These real sabotaging patterns, most women can't hold the good. Every client comes to me like, I want to hold my peace, the good, not feeling like the other shoe's going to drop or I'm missing something or something's going to go wrong. You have to work on actually having your body feel good with feeling good. And I know that sounds wild and so simple, but I've worked with so many people on this. Like, you just have to start being able to hold more of that wonderful, peaceful, great feeling. And the more you can do that, you actually go into what we call ventral vagal. And that is your state of connection, where you feel, maybe even as you're listening to this, you feel connected to me, connected to Leah, and you're able to be present. When you're connected, when you're present, that's when you can digest food. Mm-hmm. That's when your whole body starts working again. And it's only there. And when we're there, everything else starts working.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know why we're programmed or why we like get self-programmed that way, waiting for the second shoe to drop. But even when things are going really good, clients will be like, well, this weekend went, actually, I guess it went really well. I don't know why though. So I'm sure this week will be bad. And I'm like, wait, let's backtrack. Like, who said this week is going to be bad? Like, why are we telling our body that, now your stomach's going to go make that come true?
Right.
So it's really tricky. And I think also it doesn't help that there's so much health noise out there about you getting the perfect supplement and the perfect product and the perfect thing, because I feel like sometimes that's a really big struggle we have with clients when they first come in, is they can't let go of certain habits that they're like, this is my ride or die. And I'm like, but it's not serving you. Obviously, these are the symptoms we have coming on. But they've also been told by doctors like, well, you just react weird to supplements, or you could never go on that, or you can't do this. Like we literally had a client this week who like went into this full defense mechanism to explain her reaction to a supplement. And I was like, that's fine. We'll just fix it. And she's like, but I just was worried you guys weren't going to believe me because my doctor said that like they've never seen that reaction before. Like, it's got to be me. Like, she goes, I'm just weird. I'm like, okay, well, now we have a whole bunch to unpack and why you think you're weird. But we never, I don't know. It's society, I guess, has just programmed us to just think this is how it is.
Yeah, I think there's a few things here. So if you have the belief system, something's wrong with me, and if you're listening to this, you probably do, because there's something wrong with your health. And when you then have that lens, you will keep finding things that are wrong with you, and you'll keep listening to all these people and all these things that, it must be this, it must be this, it must be this. And you will keep finding evidence of what is wrong with you. And so I think one of the biggest things that, like, Leah, you have in your programs now. So first and foremost, like, don't listen to anything else. I would actually say, like, I've worked with, I can't even tell you how many doctors gaslit me, like, but not even doctors. I went Western, I went everywhere. And Leah will listen to be like, okay, let's actually unpack for you as an individual what's going on. Like, when my body wasn't recovering, you knew there was something viral, right? You found the Lyme for me after 8 years of this, because I'm like, I'm not recovering. I can't work out at all. Right. And so first and foremost, it's, shutting down the noise, just doing what Leah says. Literally just do what she says. It's so much easier. Don't watch anything else to support the fact that something's wrong with you. Don't watch anything else. Cut it all out. Don't look at the noise. Use that for something else. Use that for expanding your life, for feeling good, right? For doing some nervous system work. But what you have in your programs that I have really never seen other people have actually is addressing that belief system and the emotional components and the nervous system work to say, if there's a looping thought, something's wrong with me, this isn't going to work for me, I've spent all this money before, you have stuff that reprograms that at the root. And so you and I do very similar things with that because we've seen how people will not get the results until they change their belief systems.
Mm-hmm. Well, I learned that from you because whenever something wouldn't work for me in business, I'd be like, well, I guess that was my fault. Like it always came back to like where what I was thinking about it, what I believed could be true, what I believed could be possible. And then probably 2 years in, I started to notice the pattern of the clients that always got the results. And I was like, the clients that always got the results had this tunnel vision of like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And we didn't have to unpack I don't know if I should get better, because like right now while I'm sick, like my husband actually makes me breakfast in bed. My husband like takes care of me. And I started to notice these patterns. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to go back to learn more things because there's a whole other capacity to healing outside of just the right protocol.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about the payoff? Have you talked about this in the past?
Not super in depth, but we have talked about it. But yeah, I call that, that's our tough love. It's about like 4 weeks into the program, like, how are your symptoms helping you? And that's always such a hard lesson for everybody to get through because the first gut reaction is, this is not helping me, Leo. My painful periods are not helping me. You want a place to be able to balance your hormones naturally. That's why you listen to this podcast. You want a place to ask questions, but you either don't want to commit to a program or you have been held back from the cost of one-on-one coaching, but you still want those results. And that is where Hormone Reset membership is going to change your life. Okay. So I created this for you, specifically for you based on your guys' feedback and the questions you ask and the support you say that you want. And the Hormone Reset membership, you are going to get the training and the education to balance your hormones naturally. So I'm literally going to be taking you step by step through the training modules on how to go about actually balancing your hormones naturally. But on top of that, you're going to get one-on-one support in the private community. So in our private community, you can be sharing your meals, you can be sharing symptoms that you're having, you can get the feedback on making the changes as you are adapting everything and learning, because that's going to be such a game changer for you, because you could have the information, but you're going to need help navigating and implementing it in your life as you adapt it to specifically what you have going on. And on top of that, I know some of you are like, I just want testing. I want to have your eyes on my health and all of that. So you do have the option as well to add on testing, which is, whether it's hair tissue mineral analysis, you want us to go over blood work, thyroid labs, a hormone panel, a stool test, like whatever you're wanting, this is the place where it's kind of just like stepping into the hormone world and getting the one-on-one support specific to you. And you just get exactly what you need. So if you just want a hair tissue mineral analysis, that's what you get. If you want to add on GI map testing, that's what you get. If you're like, no, I just need the lifestyle and the nutrition and that's what I want to focus on, that's what you get. And we're in there helping you navigate it all in the private community so you can get that one-on-one feedback. And then on top of that, you can also get on some group calls. We have an option to join a group call once a week. Well, we actually have 2 options. Just pick the one that works for you. And you can hop on and ask all the questions. This is great. This is the perfect place for my postpartum and my pregnant moms who are like, I need help, but I'm not quite ready for like a full program, but I need help with the symptoms that I'm dealing with. This is great for someone who's like, I've been dealing with mood issues, period cramps, some gut issues, anxiety, I can't lose weight. This is going to be such a good fit for you. Okay. So you can go to bit.ly/join Okay, so that's bit.ly/join-HRM. If that confused you, you can just go to leahbrueggemann.com and literally it will say Hormone Reset membership and you can join there. So I'm excited to see you in there. I know this is going to be a really big game changer for you.
Okay, if you would ask me why all my health issues were helping me in some way, shape, or form, I would have said, you're crazy. Well, eventually you get down this road for so long and you're like, let me just be open to something else in my mind, right? Let me be open to someone asking me a different question, maybe unlock something. So when I do this work, and guys, so specifically, I'm usually doing around money block, sabotage, money anxiety, whatever, right? But like, it's all the same because I've had to do it so much with my health. It's called the payoff. So it's rooted in neurolinguistic programming, but like, there's a reason why you stay sick. There's a reason. And I had to ask myself, what do I get out of having all these health issues? And so I guess that would be a question if you're listening to this, ask yourself, what do I get? And I was doing this with a client the other day and I said, what do you get out of the shame that you hold? And she said, I get to hide. I don't have to go out in public, right? I get to not succeed. I get people take care of me. You get something out of everything. So for mine, like let me think. I got rest. That was a big one. I think it's a big one for most women.
It's a big one. I would say every painful period, migraine, type A achiever, health issues is because they don't say no. They don't rest.
Yeah.
It's lazy.
Yeah. So I got rest. I didn't have to fail because I could blame it on my health issues.
An excuse.
Yeah. So because I was programmed to succeed, but if I have really deep health issues, that wasn't failure, right? That's my body.
Yeah.
So ask yourself that and things will unlock, and we all do things because of subconscious payoff.
Yeah. It's the hardest one. And sometimes I will say it's like one of those things where people start to acknowledge it a little bit. Like they start making these changes. Like, okay, I'm willing to make these health changes. I'm willing to make this. And they see a little bit of progress. But if you haven't really let go of how it's serving you, it comes right back. And so whenever I have a regression where someone's like feeling a lot better, and then all of a sudden they're like, I'm back to square one. This isn't working. And that's the language they use. This isn't working. I'm not seeing results. Blah, 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 blah. It goes, oh, okay, there's something deeper to unpack here. And it's typically, yes, it's layers. That's when it's like physically and tangibly, this is the point when people like to run more labs because tangibly it gives them an answer of XYZ. But like emotionally, you have to unpack. Because typically what happened is you stopped doing a lot of things. And it's like, okay, well, why did we stop doing that? Why did we go back to the rat race? Why did we, stop paying attention to all of this? Which I think is the harder part because you have to really address how it's helping you. Because if you don't figure out how to give that to yourself in a different capacity, your symptoms are going to keep showing up for you because that's literally what they're doing. They're showing up for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to cut the old emotional tie and give yourself that in a positive, healthy, beautiful way.
Yeah, which is hard. I am not saying this is easy. Like, I don't want anybody to walk away from this episode and be like, oh my gosh, they said it was all in my head. Like, there are specific supplements and there's specific things that we use with, all of our clients depending on their symptoms. But I am telling you, like, the supplements aren't going to work. You're going to have expensive pee if we don't work on the emotional part because you're just going to keep reacting. You're going to keep peeing through things. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, I agree. Although you did give me one supplement that changed my whole freaking life.
I know. But the funny thing is, like, I have had people like take that supplement before and it has helped them. Obviously they needed it, but like, you had the rest of the things, which is why that supplement like worked so well.
Yeah.
But there is like randomly, like every once in a while, we'll have somebody who comes in without a gallbladder, who like was never put on ox bile, and they'll be like, that was the most life-changing thing of my life. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know why you weren't told to go on ox bile when they took your gallbladder, but okay. But I wanted to ask you something because you are like the OG when it comes to like the nervous system, and there's two things that I kind of get asked and a lot after our first episode. And one was, how do I support my nervous system when like I'm so down in the depths? My health is so bad. Things are always coming at me all the time. Like a good example someone gave was, I have a special needs child. And so she's like, my life will never not be stressful. Not because I don't love my child, but like you're a permanent caregiver. You have like so many extra things on top of that. So she's was asking, do I basically give up the idea that I can be healthy?
Yeah, such a great question. And obviously I don't have that level of experience, but I had the years when I was like, I'll just never be healthy. I literally don't know if I'll ever be able to wake up and take a phone call again. And that, if you keep believing that will feel really dark, right? Like if you never see a light at the end of the tunnel, that will really feel dark. And so, I think it's really, first, what I would do is actually acknowledge the belief that you keep thinking specific to you. Is it, I'll never be healthy? I'll never not be stressed, right? So I think it's really specific to you, listener, right now, to find what's the looping thing. What's the looping belief? I had a belief like I'll never be okay in the mornings, or I'll never be healthy again, right? So find your belief that's looping. And then I would say, so that's like a top-down, right? Belief to your body, because your brain is always sending signals down to your body. So find that looping belief, the one for you, and then do some support at that level. So if that is bringing you, it's either going to bring you a lot of anxiety or a lot of shutdown response. So again, it's noticing what state does that belief bring me? Does it bring me into a fight or flight? Go, go, go. Or does it bring me opposite into a shutdown and apathy, and I don't really care, nothing's ever going to get better? So acknowledge which one it brings you, and then you will do some sort of nervous system movement or release based on the response that it's giving you. So for example, let's go to the shutdown one, right? If it's bringing you to apathy, I don't care, heavy, I don't like want to move, like no light. Okay. I would actually just do, I'm going to do a hug to your own body, right? If you're listening to this, I want you to give your body a hug and hug yourself and rock back and forth and just say whatever's the opposite of the thought you're feeling. So maybe it's just like, I'm safe. I'm okay right now. I'm here right now. I'm present right now. So this is just a really gentle movement of bringing a little bit of energy to some of that freeze. So that's going to move your physiological response. So something really gentle. It could be a light sway, it could be a hum, but usually it's just like, I'm here, I'm present, I'm okay, I'm safe, it's getting better. If you go into more of a stress response, a fight or flight response, you're going to want to move that energy a little bit more. So you might do something a little faster. Right now, I'm going to shake my hands. I'm shaking my hands in front of Leah, if you're listening. So just shaking your hands faster and faster, you're moving that high energy you have, and you want to say something to yourself again, like, I'm safe. I'm here. Everything's okay. Because usually you're probably in a lot of overwhelm, anxiety through your body. So again, the opposite thought, just I'm safe. I'm here. And all while you're moving the energy in your body. Whew, that felt good, actually. I have more energy from that. I think I had a tired morning. We were doing a lot.
I think the part where you were like, we need to acknowledge where we're at is so important, because I will say, I love social media for so many things and I hate it for so many things. And one of the things I really hate it for is the miseducation around it, because I'll say people be like, I am regulating my nervous system by putting my legs up a wall and doing breath work. And I'm like, okay, that's great for you. But like the thing is, then people go, oh, that's what I need to regulate my nervous system. But if you're someone that's literally running 1,000,000 miles an hour, that gives you anxiety. And then then your spiral gets worse. You're like, something's wrong with me. This is not working. Okay, I don't know how to regulate. I can never calm down. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. And that's because what works for somebody like Sally Sue down the road isn't going to work for you when it comes to nervous system. It's not copy and paste.
No, it's so important. So 2 things I tell all my clients. What is your baseline state? So what is that default state? Your home away from home. Like I mentioned, when I was real high performing I was that fight or flight anxiety all the time. When all my health issues came on, I went through a breakup. I was in such a deep freeze. And there you're not going to feel stressed. You're probably not feeling a lot of anything. You're numb. You're like, whatever, don't care. You might think this is a flow state, but this might just be a shutdown state. I see a lot of business owners go here as well, right? And I'm sure, Leah, you have a lot of clients because this state, and you even went there with your pregnancy, right? I was like, Leah, where are you right now? Because when you have health issues going on, you're low energy. You don't want to do anything. I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. It is your state right now. Your thoughts are just going to be slower. It's going to be more dark and more gray, even in your outlook through your eyes, right? So you have to know, one, your home away from home state and fix that first and foremost. And then also know your stressors, as in what brings you up and down, what we call the ladder, right? What brings you into more stress and anxiety? What brings you into more of that hide and shut down? And what are the right tools to do at the right time to change that?
Yeah, because you also need, I think sometimes you need someone to like mirror it back to you, because it's when you're not so much, I think, in fight or flight, but in shutdown you do. Because in shutdown, you're just like, I don't care about anything. Like, whatever you want to do is fine.
Totally. Yeah. And honestly, like with mirroring, it can be as simple as getting on a phone call with someone else, because usually there's a lot in co-regulation, right? In someone else's nervous system, if they're excited or speaking life into you, whatever it might be, that in and of itself can help you. So many of these issues are also because of isolation and loneliness. Don't get me started there, but yeah, there's a lot to it, but it doesn't need to be complicated. You just need to know how to support yourself.
Yeah. Do you ever find somebody that's just never anxious? Is there any person out there that like just never has anxious thoughts, is never stressed, like duck off of water or water off a duck's back? Does that person exist? Like the people that say, I'm not stressed, like that's not my thing.
So there's a lot of people who say that. And I think even myself, right? When I'm like, no, I'm cool. I'm pretty good with all of it. You'll notice by your thoughts, the pace of your thoughts. And also if you keep thinking the same thing, I don't like, that is something that needs to be dealt with, right? If like these thoughts are looping, that's a level of stress. So even a lot of people who don't have maybe stress in your body, you might have negative thoughts, self-hatred thoughts, like I'm not good enough thoughts, or they keep repeating and they're causing overthinking. The other thing I find is people will appear, especially like if you're on phone calls or you're speaking to them, really cool, calm, and collected. You think they're like amazing, but actually they have a lot of freeze responses in their body. They're actually fairly shut down. So you think they're cool in Chill City, but they're actually inside pretty shut down.
People tell me now that I'm like very cool, calm, and collected, but they wouldn't have said that a couple of years ago.
I would have always said, actually, you're cool, calm, and collected.
Maybe on our calls, but if you ever asked my dad that, he would have been like, that is the complete opposite of Leah. She is not cool, calm, and collected.
You feel so chill to me. Always.
I think that like that was the performer in me, because I have to go on stage so much and perform, so I would have to, like, whether you're freaking out, whether you're nervous, it's like smile, play, sing, whatever. So I think that's probably where that came from. But yeah, if you would have asked my family, they would have never said that ever.
Wow. Okay. So how would it come up for you normally? Like, is it, if you win the performer, is it inside you're freaking out?
Yeah, I would be inside but you couldn't because like, especially like if you're singing, like your voice is your instrument, no matter how freaking out you are, you can't because it would mess with your vibrato, like your airflow and all of that. So you'd have to like figure out how to like mind over matter, push it down, push it down, push it down.
Right.
So, it was only, those people who knew me or, I talked to who would be like, oh my gosh, she goes a million miles an hour and she never slows down and she never stops talking ever.
And I think this is wild because I think these are our most successful people in society, in the world, in businesses, those kind of people, right? You push it down for so many years and then all of a sudden everyone kind of explodes and they're like, what are all these things and emotions? And we saw this big time during the pandemic. All these people who wouldn't been able to push it down for so long create massive success because you actually can't feel it. You actually can't really feel connected to your body because it's so far down. Had to deal with stuff.
Yeah. The pandemic was interesting for a lot of people in that sense, like made or break a lot. So okay, so tell me who can work with you if they want to and how they can reach out to you. I obviously highly recommend Cara. I've been working with Cara since Landon was like, 2 months old, 3 months old? I just remember like I would voice message you when he was nursing in the middle of the night because you were in Australia. So that was daytime for you. And you're like, why are you messaging me at 3 a.m. your time? And I'm like, well, I'm nursing. So when else am I going to do it?
It was probably some of my favorite memories still. I have so many pictures of Landon. He knew my name and
I know.
Killian doesn't know me as much because it was in the beginning stages of building your business. So
no. Well, also Killian is a different breed of child. He can't be on calls with me. Otherwise everyone would quit.
Oh goodness, I love him. Okay, so I used to do a lot more like in the weeds business coaching for people, starting and growing their business. I do less like the step-by-step stuff now, but a lot more on expanding your capacity to receive money, to be a high performer, how to manage your stress, how to manage it all, money blocks, sabotage patterns. So I do a lot more on that side of things now. As you are, whether it's in business, whether it's career, but like if you are coming up with any of the things that we talked about today, really how to create a happy, healthy, sustainable life, business, and so on.
Yeah.
Reach out to me on Instagram, although I have been very quiet lately. We have some secret things in the background going on, but you can reach out to me on Instagram.
Let me just send you a DM. What's your Instagram handle?
Cara Barone.
Cara Barone. That's easy enough. We'll link it. I've had clients work with you.
Yeah. It's been really, really fun.
Yeah.
I guess you tell me, what are the top things that you work with me on now as we've evolved so much?
Yeah. So in the beginning, somebody asked me who my business coach was and they were like starting out their business. And I'm like, I don't actually think you would be a good fit for this right now. I was like, because we don't talk like putting things together. I mean, sometimes we do. So I actually will defer that to my husband on what we work on the most because he always is like, I can tell a difference when you're working with Cara versus not working with Cara because he's like, you are much more, you can handle anything. Like, because when things come at me, I'm just like, oh, it's fine. Like I can handle it without freaking out basically. So his biggest things are like, you are way less stressed. So like if something comes up and you're worried about it, he's like, before it would be weeks of you like trying to like work through it, mentally get through it. He's like, now it's like 24 hours. So like that's a massive shift. And then also I'm just so much calmer. I know you guys think I'm so calm, but he's the other side. But I would say that's the biggest thing is because I feel like I hold capacity for literally hundreds of women every single year. And it's a lot of space to hold for people. And I need somebody to help me like manage my mind so I don't get caught in the weeds because I think that it's hard to be a bird's eye view of like what's going on. And so like when we'll get on our calls or we'll do whatever, I just kind of brain dump like, this is what's going well. This is where I'm struggling, but I don't know how they're connected, and then we'll go from there because I've just let go of the reins of that. Like, because I feel like the more I learn about mindset, because I work with so many people on this, you can't mindset yourself. You just get all twisted up.
You know what you said, and I think it's actually huge for anyone listening, that we're never going to take out the stressors of life, right? Like you have a third child coming, no matter what that's stressful, managing a business, being a mom, like you are never going to get rid of the stress, but you increase your capacity to hold it all. And I think that's really the most important part, is like being able to hold things without the overwhelm, the anxiety, freaking out.
100%. Yeah. So I'll put your handle down and definitely reach out to her. It will be well worth your time. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank you.